Hey everyone, I'm Ben, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I talk about mechanical engineering and the tools I use as a mechanical engineer. In this video, I'm going to go over how to model screws in SolidWorks. I think screws are a great thing to know how to do because it'll show you simple feature creation as well as some swept cuts, helix creation. I think it's great practice to build in a lot of different features. I'm going to build in two ways. I'm going to create the thread with a helix and a swept cut, and then I'm going to use the hole wizard or thread tool. I like to use the helix because I think it gives you a little bit more control. It's a little bit more intuitive to me, but both are good options. So let's dive in. Let's start with a sketch on the top plane, centered at the origin. I'm just going to create a 4mm diameter circle because I'm going to do a M4 screw, a metric 4mm screw. That is 10 millimeters tall. I'm going to extrude down so that my screw head can sit at the origin. Alright. And now let's create the screw head. So let's sketch on the front plane, like so. And I'm going to create the screw head with a revolve feature. So I'm going to start with the center line. And then I'm going to create my screw head geometry with a few lines. And then I'm going to create a 3-point arc that's up here, like this. And then I'm going to create another center line out this way. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to make this arc tangent to that horizontal center line. And now the center point of the screw head, Phillips screw head, is about 3.2 millimeters tall. This point over here, 1.7. And this is a radius of 4. And then I'm going to use the sketch fillet feature to add in some rounds, because my screw head is going to have some fillets at each of these corners. So this first fillet is going to be 0.88. It's going to create a tangent arc to each of these lines. And then my sketch fillet feature stays open. This next one is going to be 0.2 millimeters. It's going to go at this point here. And that'll create my rounded features. So from here, I'm going to use a revolve boss base. My axis of revolution is going to be that first center line we created, blind 360 degrees, and I'm going to merge the result to my boss extrude. Cool. And so now we have the base of our screw head and our screw shaft. Next, I'm going to create a chamfer at the end of the screw that is 0.5 millimeters and 45 degrees. These chamfers are common on screws as they help guide the screw into the tapped hole. Next, I'm going to create my helix. So I'm going to go curves, create helix and spiral, and this is going to bring up this selection feature. What it wants me to do is select a planar face to sketch on, and then I'm going to convert the outer diameter of my screw. So I have a circle like this. And when I hit exit sketch, it'll bring up the helix and spiral properties manager. From this, I'm going to select the height and pitch because I know I want to go 10 millimeters in height. And I know my pitch is going to be my thread pitch for an M4 screw, which is 0.7 millimeters. I'm going to reverse this direction down towards the screw head. And this helix is going to create the path with which I use my swept cut feature to cut my threads. Hit OK. So now we have this helix. Ooh, we lost sight of it here. And that trick I just did, if your scroll wheel gets away from you, press the space bar and it brings up the view selection. And now I'm going to sketch on my right plane because that's where the helix starts. Sketch. Ooh, I'm struggling. Bring this back. Then I'm going to create some center lines here so I can create my thread geometry. So this center line I want to be a 3.14 diameter, so in case there's radius right now, and that is the minor diameter of my thread. Next, from here, I'm going to create my thread shape. And so I'm doing this in halves right now because that will allow me to mirror this sketch over that first horizontal center line that I created. And this is going to be 2. This is just the outer side of my screw of my thread. Radius of 2, outer diameter of 4. I'm going to use the mirror entities feature. I'm going to select these 3 lines I just created, mirror about that center line, and here we have what will be the basis of our swept cut. This is our thread geometry. Now you'll notice swept cut is grayed out. You have to exit the sketch first, and then you can go into the feature menu and pick swept cut. And automatically, since our sketch was already selected, it selected that sketch as profile. Here, sketch profile, selected sketch 4. Now for our path, I'm going to select the helix. And I'll click OK. And there we have our M4 threads, all the way down to the screw base. All right. Next, I'm going to create the Phillips geometry, the Phillips number 2. I'm going to do that with a cut feature. First, I'm going to use a reference geometry plane. I'm going to offset by 3.2, not 32, because I'm going to cut from the top down. I'm going to create this plane. And then I'm going to do another plane. This plane is going to be the bottom of my cut. That's how deep it's going to go. We're going to offset this to 0.75. And now this depth that I'm creating is currently arbitrary. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what the Phillips cut is, but this will work for now. So I'm going to sketch on plane 1. Not edit it, I'm going to sketch, and I'm going to create my Phillips head geometry, which is honestly relatively complex geometry. If you were modeling a screw and you wanted to call it out in your assembly, you could keep it really simple and then just in your drawing point to that feature and say this is a Phillips head number 2 drive, and that would probably be sufficient, but I think it's good practice to sketch this out. So we're going to start with a circle of a diameter of 4.32. This is going to be the outer edge of our Phillips cut. Just reference my dimensions. And then I'm going to create 2 center lines. Horizontal and vertical. I'm going to be mirroring features about these. I'm going to start with some lines. And these lines are going to be the basis of my Phillips shape. So this, I know, this angle is 22.5. Then I'm going to use some other useful center lines to better define this geometry. Set that to midpoint. So these are going to be perpendicular, and this is going to be 45 degrees. We're going to make these coincident on this line. We're going to make these 2 lines equal, and then this center line that I created is 1.185 millimeters long. And this is a useful trick if you have a center line. I'm going to define the total width of what this feature will be. So this will be 0.73. And here we have the basis of our Phillips head feature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror entities. I'm going to mirror these 4 lines about my center lines so that I have each side of the Phillips cut with 2 mirror features. In this case, I'm going to mirror about this horizontal line. And then you can see here, this looks about like a Phillips head. So all I have to do is trim my outer circle with my trim to closest. And here we have our basis for our cut. So I'm going to use my extrude cut. Instead of blind, I'm going to say up to surface. And I'm going to select plane 2. So that's going to define the depth of my cut. And then I'm going to use this button here, the draft. I'm going to turn the draft on. I'm going to set it to 6 degrees. And what this does is it creates an auto draft in the cut. So I don't have to go in later with a separate feature. And then we have the basis of our number 2 Phillips head drive. So for ease, I'm going to turn off curves and planes so we can see this better. Now I just need to add some fillets in here. We'll start with a 0.4 millimeter fillet. And I'm going to collect most of these inside edges. Just for accuracy, to practice our modeling. And again, another fillet. This one I'm going to set to 0.06, and I'm going to grab these very outer edges here. And there you have it. This is a M4 screw, 10 millimeters long, with a Phillips head drive. And so we did this with a cut sweep and a helix, but there's another way we could have created this thread. So I'm going to suppress my cut sweep so we have the base 4 millimeter wide screw diameter, and we're going to go in under this whole wizard drop down. There's the thread option, and you're going to get this pop-up that said thread tool type size profiles are nominal thread profiles only. Do not use them for production quality threads. This is one of the sort of warnings that come up, why I like to use the cut sweep and the helix spiral. Gives me more control. But again, you can use the thread feature and then just call out the thread type on your drawing, and that usually works fine. So hit OK. Then for location, I'm going to select this edge here. I'm going to go up to selection, and go up to this surface. I'm going to create an offset, 0.7. I'm going to flip that offset so we don't cut into the part. Then on this, I'm going to create another offset, again, 0.7. That's 1 pitch of my M4.4. I'm going to create a metric die that'll cut in to the thread, because remember I made my base shape at 4 millimeters, which is the outer diameter of the screw. I've selected M4 by 0.7, and then I'm just going to hit the green check. And there we have the thread cut. And so again, you notice maybe it's not as clean. The stop is a little bit sudden, whereas the helix went all the way down to the bottom. A little bit more control, but again, a really easy way to create threads. And then if we're making a drawing, I would just call out this is the M4 by 0.7 thread type. And most manufacturers or part suppliers, that's a very common thread type. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I went over how to model a screw. We looked at some simple extrudes, revolve features, and what I think are the 2 best ways to create the thread profiles. The other thing about modeling screws is once you get the hang of it, maybe you've practiced it, you can always download screw models from McMaster-Carr. That's a really easy way to just get what you know is a off-the-shelf screw part. I'm not going to go over that in here because I think it's pretty easy to go to a website and press download. But anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and can practice some good modeling habits. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked it, press subscribe.